Yes, good morning, everyone. I am Jean-Marie Julien from the Laboratoire National de Métrologie et d'Essai, the French National Metrology Laboratory. And today, my presentation will provide a brief update on the evolution of European regulations for food contact materials. And as a reminder, materials and contact with foodstuff are managed by the framework regulation, which is the regulation 1935 and 2004, currently under revision. And in regulation, you have 17 material groups that can potentially have a specific harmonized regulation or directive. Among these 17 materials groups, only 4 have a specific regulation or directive. This is the case, if I can say that, for plastic, ceramics, regenerated cellulose film, and active and intelligent materials. And you also have some substances like bisphenol A, epoxy compound like beige and its derivative, which also have specific measures, as you can see here, and the European Union. And this framework regulation doesn't prevent member states from legislating, if I can say that, for group of materials which don't have harmonized measures and the European Union. And this context, regulations at national level are managed by mutual recognition, which governed by the regulation 2019 and 515. And the framework regulation also we requires that material be manufactured according to rules of good manufacturing practice by setting up a quality management system, which you can find and the regulation of 2023 and 2006. According to the Article 3 of the Framework Regulation, food contact material must respect the inertia principle. And the inertia criteria to be respected to prove the conformity of these materials are as follows. As you can see on this slide, that means the use of authorized substances and the formulation of the materials, and not only evaluated the substances, and compliance also with the purity criteria of substances, the condition of use of substances, such as a maximum concentration to be used, and the respect also of overall and specific migration for the materials. And finally, compliance with the requirements for wall contact, which concern, for example, decorated ceramics. And so what about the revision of the framework of regulation? In December 2020, the European Commission published a roadmap which discusses the problem to be resolved and the objective to be achieved for the revision of food contact material regulation, which has never been revised and deaf since its provision came into force more than 45 years ago. Indeed, based on the factual elements collected, it appears that the current approach raises several fundamental questions, including the list of authorized substances. This roadmap therefore consists of revising or if I can say that, modernizing current rules in order to guarantee the safety of foodstuff, reduce the presence also and use of dangerous chemical substances, as well as promote safe, reusable, and recyclable solutions. And so the European Commission proposes, in particular, to to focus on the final materials and not just on a list of authorized substances by strengthening the rules of good manufacturing practice. It also suggests granting more priorities to the evaluation and management of NIAS as well as the cocktail effect. Above all, support safer and more sustainable packaging alternatives such as recycling and reuse of packaging to improve also the quality and accessibility of information through a written declaration of compliance. And finally, extend the responsibility for product control beyond the authorities to notified body. And this document proposed two possibilities for this reform, either a revision of the current regulations or the publication of a new regulation. Based on everything that is currently on the way, we are learning more towards the second option, that means to a new regulation. On May 5th on this year, that means 2023, the European Commission published on its website a document on the main themes and political pillars of the revision of the rules of food contact material, as you can see here on this slide. And the terms are divided into two parts, one which concern the safety and sustainability of food contact material, and the other part concern the exchange of information and the supply chain compliance and its enforcement. And in the first part, you have three themes, A, B, and C. And A, you have a focus on the final materials in order to define the required level of safety by taking into account all the characteristics of the material as well as the substance incorporated, including the NIAS. And then classify also the material by type, like synthetic, natural, recycled, composite, etc. And the second theme concerns the prioritization of substances by defining rules in order to make an assessment according to three levels of approach. Generic risk based on dangers such as CMR substances, endocrine disruptors, etc. The second level is a risk assessment by public authorities, and the third is a self-assessment by operators for less harmful substances. And the third term proposes to support sustainable materials alternatives, that means guarantee less dangerous chemical substances, and above all, be consistent with other European rules on the sustainability of materials, such as the draft that we have. Now we call PPWR regulation. And the second part, which concern the exchange of information and the supply chain compliance and its implementation, you have the term D, which concerns the improvement and accessibility of information and the supply chain by specifying clearer and concise rules regarding information, including a DOC, that means a declaration of compliance for all packaging, and promote also the digitalization of data. And the point E concern the establishment of a conformity verification system and the carrying out of official controls either by delegated or notified bodies. And the last point, the point F, concerns the implementation of an analytical method to evaluate materials. And as part of the reform, a public consultation took place also between October 2022 and January 2023, and a timetable also of the approach to revising the legislation was also published on the website of the European Commission. And the European Commission is currently working on a finding solutions and defining also policies, option, and more detail. And consultations also and studies are on the way on the pillars before the European Commission can start a work on a legislative proposal between 2024 and beyond. And then we should therefore not expect something or to have a new regulation before the end of 2024. What about the plastic regulation? If you want, the plastic material are regulated by the regulation 10 and 2011. And since its implementation, it has been amended 17 times, and the last two amendments date from July and August 2023. That means this year. And the main requirements of this regulation are presented here on this slide. This is the use of authorized substances and Annex 1 of this regulation. Compliance with overall migration and specific migration limit, absence of migration for primary aromatic amine, etc. If I can say that. And the notion of functional barrier for recycling a product is addressed also in this regulation, but you should know that this part will be updated normally because this notion is currently covered and the new regulation of 2022-16 on recycled plastics. And therefore, the 60th amendment to the regulation published in July and entered into force in August 2023 removes flow and wood fibers as well as salicylic acid from the European list. A case-by-case assessment is necessary for the substance to be used in the formulation of food contact material. And you have also 5 new substances, as you can see here on this table. They have been added with LMSML, specific migration limit, and other restriction of use as you can see here on this column. And this regulation also a more or less significant reduction and the specific migration limit and the specific migration limit total in particular for 5 pellets was made. As you can see here, you have a diminution of the specific migration limit. And you have also new SMLT, which have also been added and the amendment of the regulation 10 and 2011. The 70th amendment, published in August also this year, just concerned the addition of a plasticizer for PVC to Annex 1 of the plastic regulation. It can be used up to 25% by weight for a migration limit of 0.05 milligram per kilogram of food. And how about the bisphenol A? Bisphenol A, if you want, is currently authorized and the European Union list also of the regulation 10 and 2011. And since the updating of the restrictions relating to this substance and the regulation 2018 and 213, an amendment to the plastic regulation, it can no longer be used in containers intended for infant and young children. And it can be used and vanishes, apply and can for this category of the population, but following a non-detectable migration limit. And however, for adults, it can be used in the formulation of the contact material an object following a specific migration of 0.05 milligram per kilogram of food. And in France, this substance, if you want, is prohibited in all food containers. And then given the toxicity of this substance and the mandate given by the European Commission to EFSA in 2016, EFSA published in April of this year on its website a reassessment of its opinion given in the 2015 on the risk of this substance for human health. What is important to note in this opinion is that EFSA recommends lowering the TDA for BPA by 20,000 times from 4 microgram per kilogram body weight per day to 0.2 nanogram per kilogram body weight per day. Even taking into account the uncertainty and the exposure assessment, EFSA concluded that dietary exposure to BPA is of IF concern, if I can say that. And currently, the Commission is working on a draft of regulation to remove the use of BPA in food contact material or reduce its specific migration limit to a non-detectable limit. The same for the primary aromatic amine. And EFSA also published on September 30th the update of its 2012 opinion on mineral oil hydrocarbon, which are divided into two products categories. As you can see here, you have a MOSH, mineral oil saturated hydrocarbons, and a MOA, mineral oil aromatic hydrocarbons. Indeed, in 2017, EFSA was mandated by the European Commission to launch the monitoring of MOSH and food and material in contact with food. And this new assessment, EFSA concluded that considering an approach based on the merging of exposure, current dietary exposure to MOSH, that means saturated substances, doesn't raise concerns for human health for all age groups. However, for MOA, that means aromatic substances, EFSA concluded that it is extremely likely that MOA constitutes a health problem with 99 to 100% certainty for toddlers and more than 66% likely for some of the other groups of age. And the experts notably formulated a recommendation for MOSH and MOA, such as improvement of analysis methodologies, more study on the long-term effect of these substances, and update also of the technical specification of right mineral oil and waxes used as food additives also. And also analyze the concentration of these substances, that mean MOSH and MOA, according to the GRC guide updated this year. And well, that's all for my presentation. If you have some question, we can discuss after. Thank you for your attention.